Star Trek Discovery has spawned many spin-offs. Lower Decks, Picard, Strange New Worlds, and Prodigy, a show primarily aimed at kids, but seemingly loved beyond its target audience. And as Season 2 is finally released on Netflix, I thought we'd take a spoiler-free look at it today.
Think you should wear your old uniform for this one?
Now, why on earth should we watch a kids show?
That was my initial thought when the commander decided to review Season 1.
Yeah, we were a little late to the party with that one, and reviewed the entire show in December 2022, and although it took a while for the characters to gel,
Especially Dal. Whose bright idea was it to make that supposed protagonist such a git?
that was only at first McCluck. He grew over the course of a season, but yes, I agree, it was a bold move to make one of the main characters not that relatable when we first met them. But the show was a surprise hit, combining heart, great storytelling, and encompassing the very ideals of Starfleet and Star Trek.
Which was surprising since the story didn't actually follow Starfleet officers.
I think that was the point, Mouse. These fugitive young adolescents idealized Starfleet, so it made sense they would try to emulate the very best of what they saw it offered.
The season ended with the day being saved, and most of the fugitives being enrolled into Starfleet Academy. So, what does Season 2 bring to the table?
Well, first off, it almost didn't bring anything. Even though this new season was nearly complete, Paramount cancelled the project, and it took a strong push by fans to help find it a new home. After a lot of uncertainty, Netflix stepped up to the plate.
Just like our gang's uncertain future in Season 1, the show itself had an uncertain future too.
And it's not over yet. We don't yet know if a third season will be commissioned.
But was Season 2 worth the wait?
In one word, yes.
Whoa, stop that. You can't just leave it like that. Surely there's more to say.
While remaining spoiler-free. That's a tall ask, McCluck.
I'm sure you can do it.
Well, the story carries on very shortly after the end of the events depicted in Season 1, and what happens is very much linked to the adventures we saw back then, so you kinda need to watch that one to fully enjoy this one. You'll also find a bunch of returning characters from other Star Trek shows, Janeway, obviously, as she was in the first show, and it was well advertised that Robert Beltran will reprise his role as Chakotay. So, if you like such recurring characters...
Oh, I do. It's always fun to get to see what characters we loved in the past are doing in the present.
Yeah, well, why can't the show stand on its own 2 feet, though? Why does it need that?
It also runs the risk of making the universe the show's in feel tiny if we keep bumping into the same people again and again.
It really depends how they're used. There was one cameo in one episode that truly was pointless, while another was a huge surprise that might really well annoy some and likely delight others. I have to say, I groaned when I saw them appear, but my mind was quickly changed, and the writers really made full and excellent use of that character to surprising effect. The story couldn't have worked without them, and actually redeemed a previous cameo in a previous and far worse show. Won't say any more than that.
But the story's still mostly about our gang of adolescent asylum seekers though, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, and most of them grow through the season. I think those that did that the least were Rock, Jenkin, and Murph. But Dal, Gwyn, and especially Zero grew in leaps and bounds. The story itself is a very good one. You can tell the whole arc was planned from the start, leading to a, mostly, consistent thread from beginning to end.
Not all of it was great, mind. I'm reminding of a particular episode near the start which made 0 sense, and the bad guys should have been on our gang's location far sooner than they did, enabling them to achieve a plan that should never have worked.
Oh, it wasn't perfect, to be sure.
I can also think of 3 episodes which were definite fillers, barely contributed to the story, if at all. And I never like plot points that rely on adolescents having greater skills than seasoned professionals. And there were moments here where that's particularly glaring.
But for the most part, the story holds together.
It's not perfect, though. There are moments when you think, how the hell did that happen? Don't remember thinking that as often for Season 1.
Agreed. I always like to compare an ongoing season-long story arc in current Star Trek to Enterprise's 3rd season. Although I didn't like its premise. The story was very tight, well thought out, and actually held together extremely well, creating an exciting year of television full of twists and turns which were obviously thought out from the start. Now, Prodigy's 2nd season doesn't reach that lofty high, but it's pretty good. I have no problem saying it's better than Discovery. It's leaps and bounds better than any season of Picard, and I'd say it's a much better show than Lower Decks. It remains an optimistic show, which is what Star Trek should be all about, all while offering a good and enjoyable story. for the most part.
I feel it's a real shame all episodes were released in one go.
That's actually the worst part, because in this day and age, spoilers become inevitable when that happens. And you should really discover this story as it unfolds without anyone telling you what's going to happen, which is exactly why I'm being as vague as I can be here. You'll find there are some plot holes, some more glaring than others. You'll recognize many moments inspired by other shows and movies. You'll be pleasantly surprised, possibly a little annoyed at times, but as a whole, it's a good and enjoyable story that even manages to weave story threads from lesser shows into its plot, making those threads better in the process.
Wow, that's quite a feat.
It certainly is, and I really hope it somehow manages to get a third season. Now, just so you know, the Season 2 story concludes, so you don't end up with an annoying and potentially never resolved cliffhanger.
Like in the end of the revived Quantum Leap second season, which has now been cancelled.
Yeah, that's also a good thing, right? That story's done, but the door remains open for more stories to be told.
Which I really hope we'll get a chance to see. Yes, it may be aimed at kids, but it's clearly not just for kids. The show has a heart and soul, and is not silly as you might expect a kids show to be. It should be enjoyed by any fan of sci-fi, and I can't see how fans of what Star Trek is at its core won't enjoy the ride. Do have a look, and let us know what you think in the comments. We'll prepare our spoiler review a little further down the line. Until then, live long, and may the Force be with you.